So we want to tell you a very brief story about how you fit into all of this, and then we want to talk to you specifically about what you want to talk to us about. So, you were source energy before you came into this physical body. Do you know that? Yes. And you are still that source energy even though you are in this physical body. In other words, the larger part of you still remains there. But you want to say, so what? So what? I'm here. It doesn't matter where I came from or what's still going on there. But it does matter what's still going on there because you have access to that. Wait, it's not just that you have access to who you came from or who you really are as non-physical energy. It's that you cannot separate yourself from who you are. That's why it matters that you know that there is another part of you that is actively involved with you. If you had just been set forth and cut loose, you could think any thought you want to think in this world about anything, and you would never feel negative emotion because there would be no vibrational comparison between what your inner being knows about that and what you think you know about it right here and now. You could watch television. You could pick some object of attention. You could focus your hate and disdain upon someone or something, and you would feel joyful in the hatred that you're offering if your inner being were not loving the same person you're hating. Esther said to us, Abraham, you clearly need more information. If you knew what I knew, you wouldn't be all bright and shiny about that. But Esther is wrong about that because we know everything that there is to know about everything, and we still maintain our attention of love and upliftment. And if she chooses otherwise, then she suffers the discord of offering a vibrational frequency that is resistant enough to the stream that we've got flowing to her that she feels discomfort in that process. That is a guidance system really worth talking about, you see. So you were source energy, you came into this physical body, and here you are doing exactly what you intended to do. You're sifting and sorting and coming to new conclusions about what's important. And as you come to those conclusions, they're emanating from you. Your inner being receives the advantage of the growth experience that you have provided. And your inner being becomes the more that you are asking for. A sort of continual amendment to who you are as you eternally continue to evolve as consciousness. So your inner being becomes it. And this becoming is so important. We want so much for you to understand it, to accept it, and to think about it, that we've begun talking about this vibrational reality that is the result of all of that. A vibrational reality that is the precursor to the manifested reality that you all are so much more excited about. There's this vibrational reality that holds all things that you've been asking for. We want so much for you to accept the reality of it that we've called this vibrational reality your vortex. It's this spinning collection, gathering all cooperative components of all things that you want. And that vortex is the complete becoming of you so far. And your non-physical being, your inner being, you may refer to that as your soul. Sometimes people call it source, stands in that new expanded joyful state, emitting signals to you all day, every day, so that you, in your present form, in this now moment, can thoughtfully, in other words, with thought, join that consciousness in that awareness. And when you do, you feel elation, you feel powerful, you feel invincible. You feel balanced. You feel sure-footed. You feel exhilarated. You feel love. You feel appreciation. You feel all of those wonderful, invigorating feelings that you remember feeling consistently when you were younger, that as time goes by and you focus on more things that your inner being doesn't focus on, you form a sort of separation, and then you begin to sort of cope with this less than wonderful feeling that is really more natural to you. So, As we visit with you, we want to explain to you that you are the creator of your own reality. And we, for a while, said to you that you want to be the deliberate creator. We called this body of work the science of deliberate creation because we wanted you to care about your vibration and care about the projection of your thoughts. And most of all, care about the way you were feeling so that you could guide your thoughts into ways that are productive for you. And by productive, we don't just mean productive so it will produce stuff you want. We mean productive so that you can feel glorious in every moment. Productive so that you can be living the joyful life that you came here to live. And then you humans are so diligent in your determination that you made the science of deliberate creation harder work than it needed to be. We watched you. You were monitoring your thoughts and making yourself and others crazy. You would find yourself saying something that you knew was not beneficial because of the way it felt, and then you would try to suck it back before law of attraction took hold of it and made it bigger. But even sucking it back, law of attraction is still responding to what you've got your attention on, because in this attraction-based universe, there's no such thing as no. You can't look at something and say no without being a vibrational match to the very thing you're saying no about. So now we are calling this the art of allowing. The art of allowing what? The art of you will be you. The art of me in my physical form. Me in my physical body. The art of me finding a way of seeing the world or seeing the piece of the world that I'm focused on in this moment in a way that is like the way my inner being sees it, so that I can receive that broader perspective in this moment. The leverage that you receive, the energy that creates worlds at your fingertips, it's such an advantage to you when you sync up with that signal. So when we talk about being in the receiving mode, that's what we're talking about. Now, of course, if you're awake, you're turned on, which means your receiving mode is on. The question is, what's it tuned to? What's it tuned to? Are you tuned to the frequency of who you really are, or are you tuned to something that you're watching on television or something that is rampant in your environment globally or locally? So once you remember the premise of who you are, once you remember that there are two aspects of you that are pulsing at all times, and that the relationship between those two aspects is so important to you because your emotional balance is at stake. That because you are such a lover, unless you are finding things to love, you feel off. And that's confusing to so many humans, because as you scour the world, you've come to weigh the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses. You've come to believe that you have to observe and be objective in order to even know what you want. And to a certain degree, that is accurate. Because if you don't have the ability to evaluate, then you can't conclude. That's really what step one is. Ask. And asking comes from that evaluation. But once you have seen and once you've come to a conclusion of what you prefer, then if you could use all of the attention-gathering self-discipline that you could find to focus in the direction of what feels good to you, what you would begin to notice is that you've asked and it has been answered. It has been given. It's already gathered and collected in your vibrational reality, in your vortex. But you've got to tune your receiver to what's there, not to what's out here, not to the problem that caused you to ask, but to the solution that you're looking for. And when you become more solution-oriented rather than problem, defensive, justified-oriented, then what begins to happen is you more consistently are in that vibrational frequency that equals your receiving mode, which means you in your human physical form and you in your non-physical evolving form are holding in that moment a vibrational equivalency. In other words, your frequencies match up, which means what your inner being knows that's being projected to you on your behalf, you can know too, because you're in the receiving mode. So under those conditions, your inner being would not say to you, as we were suggesting that you say to your disconnected human friends, your inner being would say to you, we know where you stand in relationship to everything that you want. And we are broadcasting a continual stream that you can receive in the form of impulses, clear, pure thought. When you begin following the impulse of your bliss, when you begin following the impulse of your joy, when you begin following what feels best to you, and you don't second guess yourself, you don't judge yourself, you don't try to evaluate it to death. Instead, you just follow that feeling of bliss, and then you have the benefit of witnessing outcome after outcome after outcome after outcome. Then you are a deliberate creator. Now, there's one thing that we really want you to hear. We're going to say this briefly, and then we'll open it for discussion with you about whatever you want to talk about. This receiving mode is a subtle receiving. You have to tune yourself. You have to quiet your mind enough that there are not other things that are in the way. And we'll talk about that as we move forward today. Easy ways to do that. But so when you tune yourself to this subtle frequency, so you begin hearing and feeling these impulses are not going to lead you immediately to the manifested reality that you want for a variety of reasons. One is you really don't want to go directly there. You think you do, but you don't. You don't want to go directly there. What you want is this wonderful unfolding path that you get to witness as what you're wanting. It would be like a sculptor saying, I'm going to create a magnificent sculpture, give me the clay, and then just throwing it down and saying, there, that's exactly what I was going for. That's exactly what I had in mind. Because that isn't what you had in mind. You want to get your intentionality in it. You want the fun of it becoming what you are intending for it to be. So the receiving mode, once you're in that receiving mode, once you've achieved that vibrational alignment with who you really are, and once there is a mutual vibration, your vibration and the vibration of your inner being are the same, what happens is you'll receive an impulse or an idea that won't take you all the way to what you might want to call the finish line of this particular creation. It's just you being more ready than you were before you received that. And in that readiness, that new readiness that just happened to you, now new other wonderful things can happen too. And then more, and then more, and then more. So we say, you're ready to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready. And the reason that we really want you to get this is because there are always going to be, we'll pause for dramatic effect. There are always going to be many, many more of your creations in the process of becoming than are becoming right now. In other words, a steady stream of them in the pipeline. And if you have oriented yourself to only let yourself be happy once they manifest, then you're mostly going to be unhappy. Because every day you're going to figure out something more that you want, and every day that more thing that you want will have not come to physical fruition. So you've got to be joyful in the becoming. You've got to be joyful in the allowing. You've got to be joyful in the asking. You've got to be joyful in the problem stage. You've got to be joyful in the not knowing the answer. You've got to understand that the system is, I don't like this, I prefer this, and I have no way of getting to this suddenly. And then the fun begins. Because once you know that you want it, your inner being wants it too. And when your inner being wants what you want, here's the key. Your inner being knows how to get it. Your inner being knows where it's going to come from, who's going to bring it, what the likely unfolding of it is. Your inner being knows all of that. But you often can't hear that from your inner being because your inner being doesn't talk to you like humans do who say, go over there. Your inner being is offering you the impulse so that you can have the pleasure of what you call self-discovery. You see what we're getting at? So, if you heard us, you now know everything that you'll ever need to know about creating anything that you'll ever want.